Would help if I unmute my mic. Let's try this again. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Panda Wrestling Company and TGN Networks proudly brings to you what is surely to be the most slept on podcast in the world. Super Beard Vince Hoover, the Devil God Jamal Jones, wrestling with Toxicity. Oh, I'm lightheaded again. Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the episode 4, the 4th episode, episode Quattro of Wrestling with Toxicity. I am joined as always. Oh, hold on just one second. Technical issues are coming up with Twitch. What is going on here? What do I got going on? Yep, it looks like something is going on. Huh. Yeah, it's a little weird. For some reason they've got wrestling playing on Twitch, but we are live on the Geeks and Noobs Twitch. We are live on TGN Network's YouTube. We are live on the Geeks and Noobs Podcast Facebook page. We are live on Truvo for the Geeks and Noobs. We are also live on we should be live on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitter and Facebook. So we should be live there. I don't know what's going on. So they're playing it, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on there, but we're live on every other channel, so we'll just keep moving forward with that. Let me message Panda real quick while we're doing that. But yeah. Let's see. A message. That's a little weird. All right, we'll see what's going on there, but for now, we'll just keep going with it. I'll wait to do the Ruthless Coffee ad when we're actually on Twitch over there, because that's what it's for. So we'll see how that goes. Don't know what else is going on, but we'll figure it out as we go. Regardless, welcome to Wrestling with Toxicity. It is our 4th episode, and today we're going to be talking about the dirt sheets and the impact they kind of have. But first thing first, yeah, Mr. B-Roll, thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. And I fixed Jamal's audio. I unfortunately had him muted on accident. Sorry about that, guys, but thank you for letting me know. So Jamal, say hi to everybody once again.
Ain't that some shit? Hello.
Yeah, had you muted there for a second. Sorry.
Salutations, if you will.
When I went to unmute you is when all the crap happened with Twitch, and I was like, "What's going on over there?" I don't know. It's weird. But we'll figure it out. It is good. We're all right. So we're still live on the TGN or on the Geeks and Noobs Twitch, on TGN Networks on YouTube, and on Facebook, and on Truvo. So there are all kinds of avenues to still see this. So hopefully, something will come of this. We'll figure it out as we go. I'm going to check all my other streams just to make sure while we're doing this. Truvo. Yep, we're live on Truvo. Facebook.
Did you check the Twitch chat?
Some of it was coming up, but not all of it. So no, I haven't seen their chat. Let me see what's going on.
I only see one message. I don't know if you put that there or the Panda
Yeah, I
put that
did.
there.
I put the podcast one there. I put that there.
Okay, I was wondering.
Trying to figure out what's going on, why this is like this. It's a little weird. It's okay.
We okay.
Yeah. So I mean, we won't be on PWC today. I don't know what's going on,
Doesn't
but
stop us from.
no, we're still gonna do this episode. We're still gonna have fun, and if people want to check it out, there is always you can go to the Geeks and Noobs on Twitch. You can go to TGN Networks on YouTube. You can go to the Geeks and Noobs podcast on Facebook and watch it there, and on Truvo Live, it's the Geeks and Noobs as well. So there are avenues to watch it. We'll figure it out as we go along. All the audio is back up. We got that fixed as well. And here we go. So like I said, we're going to be talking about the dirt sheets today, but there is something positive I want to start with because fortunately, the dirt sheets, it's typically never a fun conversation. It's typically never a positive one. Especially from somebody who was in the business, who dealt with it from both sides. I dealt with it from the pro wrestler standpoint in the indies, and then I dealt with it as a journalist in covering stories. So I understand both sides of the dirt sheet. So we'll get into that in a bit. But last night we had. Oh, thought that was Panda. It was not. It was a spam call. Wanted me to buy a timeshare or something.
It's the old people.
Yeah. So I've been getting timeshare calls because my uncle has a timeshare and he put me down as a reference for some reason.
But I say time as it that only happens to older people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am 40. I'm probably going to start getting those calls regardless, but I was put down as a reference. So, and of course,
Getting car
the feed
insurance
is
calls right now.
yeah. I've already gotten AARP mail and shit. So,
oh sweet Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm 40. I am not 90. Stop it. Regardless, we had an amazing thing, and this does kind of correlate to dirt sheets a little bit, and I'll explain. But last night on Raw, we had the very unexpected, not rumored, nothing. The return of the Rebel Heart himself, Johnny Wrestling, aka Johnny fucking Gargano. They come back from commercial after all, after one hell of a match, by the way. Mm-hmm. The tag match with AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley versus The Miz and Ciampa was amazing. The Dexter Loomis angle was great. He abducted him and the crowd cheered. And I thought that was like and Simon Miller of Ups and Downs, he put it great. He goes, go tell your non-wrestling fans that you watched a man get kidnapped and the crowd cheered and see their reaction. Just think about that out of context.
It was so funny.
It was hilarious. But what I also like, people are like, well, who was that other guy? The guy who tried to attack AJ. I just think, honestly, I think he was just an enhancement talent, maybe a Canadian indie wrestler that was brought in. He was meant solely as a distraction for the cops, because now all the cops were arresting this hooded figure, and Dexter Loomis was now free to do what he wanted to do.
He was the red herring to red herring.
Exactly. So Dexter Loomis kidnaps Miz. I'll be interested to see where this goes. Yeah, Jason, my brother, yes, he says he loves Simon. I do listen to what culture gets on my nerves a lot nowadays. Like they've gotten very like they're the crotchety old man on the porch now. Like they're very much that. But Simon Miller is the antithesis to that. He is this incredibly upbeat, positive person. I wish I had the ability to go to Texas. He was just here in Texas. In fact, he watched Monday Night Raw in the airport. Mm-hmm. He was here he worked Thunder Rosa's indie promotion. Worked a show. Which, by the way, also her little taco podcast thing she does on YouTube, they're great. But go find specifically the Simon Miller episode; it's hilarious. But he was down here in Texas working a show. I would love to have seen him. Couldn't make it.
I always forget Simon Miller wrestles as well. I tend to forget Simon Miller wrestles like all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Because I remember, what was it? He was part of a battle royale. It was in England. I can't remember the promotion, but it was a lot of folks that showed up. Cody was in it. McIntyre was in it, but he was Galloway. Rey Mysterio was in it. Um, God, there was a lot of folks who was in it.
Yeah,
ZSG. It was really funny when he popped
yeah,
up in it. And everybody was just hyped just because he was there, and his fucking singlet had his catchphrase
yeah,
plastered across the front of it.
yeah. I love it. Uh, I love what he does. And his heel work, like he did it. He went heel when he became champion in one of them. He went heel, and even his heel works great. He does like this, like kind of like almost kind of similar to the Miz. It's very much like I'm a rich guy. I'm an influencer. He does like that, like I'm an influencer on YouTube, so I'm better than you kind of thing. But it's hilarious. It's done very well. Um, but uh, besides that, Johnny Gargano is back in the WWE, and of course we all expected this because we all know he's a Triple H guy, and with Triple H taking creative, it makes more sense for him to come back versus before. I understand why he was debating it, but he said he wants to win, the United States title, the Intercontinental title, and the World title, and he wants to be at WrestleMania. Said the only company I can do that at is right here in WWE.
Yep.
And but I don't think if Vince was still in charge, he would have come back. I think he would have went to AEW. So I think that that this more gyms are coming out of the Triple H era, and something else that might come out of it is the fact that the Good Brothers, their contract is up with Impact.
Yeah.
They're working some dates in New Japan through September, and supposedly they're going to be at a show in Japan in 2023. So they might be going to sign a contract there, but with Triple H being back in charge, I mean that's a solid tag team. That's and
Very.
solid stories. So maybe just maybe we'll see the return of the Good Brothers as well. We don't know. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. But Monday Night Raw was another good show. The Toronto crowd was a little weird, I think, at times. They weren't like the Montreal crowd, which was just fire the entire time. But
Like,
it it was a legit sellout. It
yeah.
was a legit, not a we sold out and it's because we gave away half the tickets. No, it was a legit sellout of the place. That was good. All in all, Raw was once again, it's just definitely stepping up. We got long matches again. I told stories. Um,
I'm gonna just watch. I
oh,
like the
Devil God
keeper.
21 is now following. Yeah, you get a dancing penguin. You got a dancing penguin.
Penguins are awesome.
They are. I love penguins to death. I got the pet one. They're amazing. Did you did you know? Just a little side fact. Penguins have more feathers in the space of a quarter on their bodies than most birds have in their entire bodies.
That is
Their
awesome.
feathers. They're not. People think they're slick and they don't have feathers. They do have feathers. They're just
Yeah.
incredibly tiny, incredibly compacted into the area. So in the space of a quarter on their bodies, they have more feathers than most birds have on their entire bodies.
Bro, I love penguins.
Penguins are
Like,
amazing. I love them.
I remember when I've resorted to doing a lot of I call them faceless videos now because um I you know I I have insomnia, I have trouble sleeping,
Yeah.
and I'll be up on TikTok scrolling, and I'll see like other content creator stuff pop up, and they might ask a question or something like that, and I'll just flip the camera down, lay the camera up, and my phone down on my bed and record. And I used to put a GIF of a penguin up, and I'm gonna start back doing that because I was like, this is the wrestling type penguin, and we're gonna get into this. I would love to like have a T-shirt of a penguin wearing like wrestling gear, like elbow pads, knee pads, and boots. And it's like this is the wrestling type penguin. Fear me if you dare.
So again, I want to apologize to anybody who's trying to. If you've come over from the Panda Wrestling Company and you're watching this on some other avenue, thank you very much for sticking with us. Um, it looks like I was talking with Phil. Phil, who's on Outside the Brand, which follows us on the PWC, he's also having troubles getting everything set up.
I don't know what they got going.
Um, um, he can't get things set up either because he comes in and pre-sets up everything. He can't even get in. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, because
So I don't know what's going on the PWC Twitter or Twitch right now, but we should be live on other aspects. Of course, you're on all the the geeks and noobs possibilities. You have Twitch, you have YouTube, all that stuff's over there. And Phil said that Outside the Brand will be on its own page tonight since he can't get in, unless something changes. So if you're looking forward to Outside the Brand, make sure you tune in for that. But you're going to have to go through his pages to find it. So it is what it is. We'll figure it out and we'll see how it goes. Just weird. That's happening. I happening.
The world may never know.
We'll get it figured out. Hopefully next week we'll get it fixed. Message me on TikTok and I'll draw some stuff up. Twitch is trying to do something with updates and it's affecting a lot of people. Well, that's not the issue here. Is that there's actually something already streaming on the Panda Wrestling Network for some reason, and we don't know why. Can't figure out what's going on.
They got a shitload of folks watching it too. So they're getting the numbers in.
Going, yeah. I mean,
is it
not telling me how many people are watching, but
it was at 40 at one point, but now it's back down to 2. Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that 40 was people expecting our podcast to be there, and it's not there. I messaged everybody in Discord, being like, "Hey, we're gonna go live at 7," and I can't seem to get a hold of Panda. So, you know what? This happens. It happens. We'll make the most of it. Like I said, we're still live everywhere else, so we'll do what we can. But again, it's great to see Johnny Gargano back. Nice little bit with him and Austin Theory. So that was cool. And I look forward to seeing where he goes from here. And I'm looking forward to also seeing Candice LeRae come back. I think she'll be a huge asset for the women's division. So that'll be great.
The kid is adorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, the fucking, a lot of people forgot about the way and how Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory were like he was kind of like his mentor in NXT before he left.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wasn't that long ago? He hadn't been gone that long. Would have been not even 10 months, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. He was 9 months. 9 months, he said. He was gone 9 months.
And they did a little ugly high five, and it was just all right. Like, oh, now that's what we call a return.
Yeah, that was. I love the fact. But here's the thing, and this is leading into the conversation of the dirt sheets. A lot of the returns we've gotten have been kind of sort of like semi-spoiled by the people backstage, supposedly telling him, or and nothing else, the dirt sheet spreading rumors that happen to have come true. But this Johnny Gargano just came out of left field.
Yeah, that snuck up on him.
I mean, some reports were literally saying that he was going to show up in AEW next week in Cleveland and interfere in the Moxley CM Punk match, because that's his hometown, and he was going to come in and interfere and make a big splash. Obviously, the dirt sheets were wrong.
Very.
Now, let me tell you what the dirt sheets are for those who are the uninitiated. For your newer wrestling fans, or the ones who just don't pay attention to the internet, which good for you, in all honesty. If you're not paying attention to the dirt sheets, you are living a better life than most.
Most definitely.
So the dirt sheets, it's kind of a derogatory term about wrestling journalism. Started, decades and decades and decades ago. And they were called the dirt sheets because that was the only place you can get the dirt on the inside info on pro wrestling back when kayfabe was still very much alive.
Yep.
Now, all wrestling journalism is kind of known as dirt sheets because a lot of it works in the rumor and innuendo section of news. Because while many of them try, I'll give Fightful credit. They do try to be as factual as possible, but still, over 50% of what they report are just rumors. They're rumors about what could possibly happen. They're hearing from people backstage, not necessarily in a high position, just going off what they've heard or what they feel is going to happen based on things that have happened already. Yeah. And so most of the dirt sheets are just, again, based around rumors. However, for every spiteful rumor which has some weight to it, you then have all these other people out there in the world of social media and the internet that just make up whatever they want to make up and act like it's an exclusive. And it's like a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. For every 100 rumors they make up, they get one and they go viral, and that's all they care about. It's all about clout.
Yeah, just
Um,
which is what I was talking about. I feel like to a degree, dirt sheets aren't, that they're not reliable in the sense of, consistency. They'll like you said, they'll get one right. They'll land that shot in the dark. They'll hit that bullseye every blue moon, but it's not like over and over again. Hence is why I don't really feed into all of that crap. Like with the CM Punk stuff, until something more comes out about it. I'm not taking it heavy. I'm not going to buy too heavy into it because who's to say he does have genuine heat backstage? Who's to say that? We don't know.
yeah,
I think
it's like there have been like Dave Meltzer is one of those people who is like ingrained into the IWC and into the into the dirt sheet lore. People swear this guy's like his word is law. But the reality is, how many times have wrestlers have come out and called him out?
often.
I mean, how many famous interviews are there of like Triple H, Stone Cold, uh, CM Punk? Like so many wrestlers have like this guy is full of shit. He weasels his way backstage and then tries to like eavesdrop on conversations or just infer things based on what he's seen from afar, and he makes things up left and right. And it's gotten to the point where Dave Meltzer's rating system, his 5-star rating system, has become the end all be all gauge of how good or bad a wrestling match is. When most of the time he's wrong. And here's the thing: it's subjective. If you like a wrestling match that somebody else doesn't like, it doesn't mean that they're wrong or you're wrong. But like, because so many wrestlers in the WWE have called him out, and he has been kicked out of the locker room multiple times, or the backstage area multiple times at WWE. He has like a bit of an axe to grind with WWE, so he never like. It's very rare for anybody in WWE to get a 5-star match. But like every match in New Japan is a 5-star match. Which, let's be real, they're great matches. They're not all 5-star matches.
No,
Um,
the 7-star extravaganzas. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Okada Omega, but it was just I'm like, really? You gonna tack on a couple extra stars for what?
I don't. Yeah, just it's just. And the problem is that like I said, with the dirt, you see like it's it's just another side of toxicity. It's another
Yeah,
side of the toxic fandom. Is that and these people think they're more important than they are. And like we kind of talked about what that timeshare really wants me to buy. Um, like we mentioned what culture before, so they're not even quote unquote on the inside.
no,
All what culture does is report on what other people are reporting on.
yeah, they just regurgitate news that's floating
Yeah,
around.
same with Cultaholic and the rest of them. A Cultaholic does have a little bit of insight. Like they every now and then Cultaholic will get like interviews or news from the backstage directly. But for the most part, they're also regurgitating news. And yet they have become these, like I said, crotchety old men on their rocking chairs on their porch, yelling, "Get off my lawn!" And I don't get it. I don't get it, and I don't understand why everybody has to go the negative route on things. I don't understand why, for some reason, negativity and this toxic take on things does get clout.
Very fast.
And I think part of it is yeah, there are people who are toxic and lean to it, but a lot of that clout comes from people calling them out. like you see it more on TikTok, especially, and that's why
Mm.
like I've tried so hard to not bite on a lot of things. I think She-Hulk discourse is one of the biggest ones right now.
Woo!
But like
Woo!
because you can stitch people and call them out for their toxicity, but
Mhm.
that still gives traction to the toxic person.
Yes, it does. It's going to draw back to the original video.
Yeah, and also if you decide to like say maybe you download the video and use your clips without tagging them, then you get called toxic for not tagging the person and giving them their due justice.
Yep.
So it's like it's a lose lose when you're trying to correct the toxic behavior. I'm not going to stop in both comic talk and wrestle talk. I do my very best, but like some of the things, like right now, there's a lot of discourse over CM Punk. I do want to discuss this. There's a lot of these dirt sheets that are talking about how he threatened to walk out. He refused to put Hangman over, and how he went off script and went into business for himself with the first part of his promo calling out Hangman. Now suddenly everybody's like, "Oh, you're just being worked. You're just being worked." Especially the CM Punk fans. Oh, CM Punk has worked the dirt sheets. He's worked the dirt sheets. Yes and no. Both are right here, and both are very wrong. I used to work, and I've told this story, or you guys know that I was an independent wrestler from 2004 to 2008. In that time, I worked a few shows with CM Punk, long before he signed with WWE, before it was even an option. Even back then, CM Punk was a narcissist and an egotist. He refused to dress with everybody else. He wanted his own locker room. We didn't even have a locker room. One of the shows, it was literally curtains put up in a corner of the place we were wrestling, because it's the Indies. It isn't like we have a stadium. You know, we're wrestling in American Legion halls and gyms and these. One place was this little warehouse space attached to a strip club. There's actually a meme out there of CM Punk yelling at a stripper because the match he was in was a street fight, and they fell into the strip club. CM Punk was, of course, he was straight edge, and he was very much playing the straight edge heel, and so he's yelling at the stripper that she's a whore in the middle of his match. This is a meme. Back when he had the long blonde hair, or half blonde, whatever. Um, I worked that show. We had to dress behind curtains. We didn't have a locker room in that warehouse. But he was insistent on getting his own space. He didn't get it, and he was very upset about it. But he constantly went into business for himself. So CM Punk is a narcissist and an egotist. So would I be shocked that he was threatening to quit? No, that wouldn't shock me one bit. It would not shock me one bit if he pulled the same thing he pulled at WWE. And before anybody compares them to the Naomi Sasha situation, it is not
That's
the same,
that's completely
because
different.
Sasha and Naomi were not wanting their storyline killed and thus the titles killed. They were trying to elevate the titles and thus the women's division. They weren't trying to worry about themselves. Now Sasha is a bit of an egotist herself, but I don't think in this case she wasn't looking out for herself. She was looking out for the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk only cares about himself. And y'all can say all you want, oh, he left because WWE's treating him bad. No. He wanted to main event WrestleMania, even though the hottest story at the time was Daniel Bryan. He wanted the main event, because he wasn't getting his way, he took his ball and went home. The same thing that Stone Cold did when he was like, now here's the difference. Stone Cold left because they wanted him to lose in the first round to Brock Lesnar for the King of the Ring. No build up, no nothing. That made no sense. All that did, it gave no credibility to Brock Lesnar, but what it did do was hurt Stone Cold. So it
Yep.
was a lose-lose situation. He wanted to work with Brock. He wanted to build a program and make him a monster and make him beat Stone Cold in a program. But Stone Cold still admits what he did was wrong. He handled it incorrectly. I'm sure Sasha and Naomi probably may look back and go, okay, maybe we didn't handle this the best way. There might have been a better way to do this. But still, they weren't just looking out for themselves, they're looking out for the product. Specifically for the women's division, which still needs help. WWE
Yeah.
has the best women's division there is, but it still needs help.
Yeah. And those two
CM,
women were very integral in building it up.
yeah, CM Punk, on the other hand, doesn't care about the product. He only cares about himself. And that's why calling out Hangman like that was so wrong. Because he literally just buried Hangman. Now, Hangman has taken it in stride and has made a couple, BTE videos, basically kind of making fun of the situation. And he will come out on top on this because
Yeah.
he's not dropping to that level. He's literally looking at it and making fun of it. But if you think that that was a work, if you think that was planned, you've lost your mind. Because there's no way that Hangman agrees to just sit in the back and not come out when he gets called out like that. Had that been a work, Hangman comes out, they fight. There's no way Hangman would have been like, yeah, sure, I'll look like a complete coward and let him call me such. And so the Dirt Sheets, again, have run with this and have run with it. Mr. B-Roll, hello, what's up? Thank you for hanging with us.
Yeah.
They are running with this, and they are running with the rumors, and it's just rumors, that he was going to quit, he was going to walk out, this and that. And quite frankly, like, what does anybody gain from this?
Not much.
I'll lay that question out, and I'll let you take a stab at it, and anybody in the comments, I also would like you to take a stab at it. What does anybody gain from that? What, as fans, do you gain from these rumors getting put out there? Mr. B-Roll says, I might be able to help you on the PWC front. Whatever you can find out, B-Roll, you let me know.
Yeah, please.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll figure it out.
Either. But honestly, I don't see what there is to gain from that. But you all right. First off, the way the locker room has always worked, the way I've always seen it, the way wrestlers have described it is, we're coworkers. We treat each other with respect. You don't have to necessarily like one another, but you have to respect one another because you're gonna want to respect in return. By CM Punk doing that, that's automatically disrespect to Hangman. Hangman did nothing to provoke that, nothing to warrant that. You don't just try to bury somebody for the sake of putting yourself up because it's not going to work that way. It's not like how it used to be, where you can get away with shit like that and you guys got to hash that shit out later. Like, no, Hangman had every right to come out there and do what he did. But he's not gonna stoop to CM Punk's level because if you've ever noticed with CM Punk, whenever he gets, in these little tips or when he doesn't get his way, he'll throw jabs, low shots, and shit like that. If you've seen his Twitter in the years that he was going from WWE and out of wrestling completely, he had no issues taking shots at anybody. He was salty and he wanted it to be known. And
wanted to stay relevant.
Yeah, it's like, and the best way he could do that is by saying, cringy little shit like the shit he's been saying. And my thing is, I don't care how you feel about Hangman. I don't care. Camera froze, bro. But there it goes. I don't care how you feel about Hangman. You don't go out there and do an unsolicited shoot on somebody who did nothing to do that, like nothing to warrant that. It's wrong. It's unprofessional as hell.
Yeah,
and you know, um, he would have not gotten away with it in an old school locker room.
no, not at all. Not at all. Now, do I agree with the way it probably would have been handled? Probably not. And I can give an example of this. From an old school locker room. One of the shows I used to work was on Thursday nights. It was called EWE, Elite Wrestling Entertainment. And it was kind of a throwback show. Like they went to the 80s and did like the over the top gimmicks,
Mhm.
One of the guys on that show happened to be Brody Lee. Brody Lee worked that show. He just worked one show as a favor, but he was supposed to wrestle the main event with a guy named David Mercury. And I love David. I'm going to make that very clear. and he's currently running. There's a thing called I think it's called Pro Wrestling Labs or something like that. It's a school in Tampa, teaching people how to become pro wrestlers. He's running that school, and I'm happy for him. But that night, and this was early in his career, and he admitted his wrongdoing. He was very much an egotist at the time, and he was like, I'm not going under for this guy. I'm not putting this guy over. Why would I put this guy? He's going to work one show. You want me to stick around? But no, wins and losses didn't matter. That show, when running it, we knew we weren't going to get a repeat crowd. We didn't have TV time. It wasn't like that. So for us, every night was a new story. Every night was just about a spectacle. I never went over in EWE, and I don't even care. Like it was, I had fun matches, and I had a good time. But he, so Brody Lee was doing a Bruiser Brody style gimmick already. Furry boots, hairy beard, the whole night. So already it was already going to be, a Bruiser Brody style match. You know what I mean? Anybody who knows who Bruiser Brody is, those are rough matches. But Mercury didn't want to go. He didn't want to put him over. He didn't want to go under. So Buck's like, okay, get ready for your match. Buck Quartermain was the guy running it. He was also my lead teacher at the wrestling school I was at. Good dude. He's like, okay, all right, David, go get ready for your match. Go ahead, just go get ready. He told Brody he doesn't want to do the finish. You know what to do. So David goes out for his match. His music hits. He does his whole gimmick. He gets in the ring. And then Brody goes out. Gets in the ring. They go to lock up. He just punches him dead in the face. They go to lock up. David thinking lock up, thinking the match is just going to go how they planned it. He straight decks him in the face and then just starts beating the ever-loving shit out of him. The whole time yelling, "What's the finish, David? What's the fucking finish?" And is beating the ever-loving shit out of him. And literally just receipt after receipt after receipt. And he went in the back. When it was all over, we're all sitting there going, oh. I mean, he was bruised. He was bloody, busted lip, black eye. Chest just cut, like, chest looked. Remember when Daniel Bryan got chopped to death and had, like, his hamburger meat? It looked like that, but David Mercury, he's very tan. And it still looked like that.
Oh,
Just destroyed him. And he destroyed him for over 10 minutes. For over 10 minutes. David gets in the back. The first thing out of David's mouth is, "I'm sorry. That was my bad. I shouldn't have been like that. Next time I'll do whatever you ask." And that was the end of it. And quite frankly, no promotion after that ever had a problem with David Mercury. Now, am I saying that's the way things need to be handled? No, not exactly. I mean, that's a little extreme. However, that's how it was done. And CM Punk in a old school locker room like that never would have made it out of the Indies.
No. He would have got one of those, oh God, you remember what happened to Public Enemy?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a perfect example. And they never worked again.
No. Fucking, they wanted to be difficult to work with, wanted to be assholes in the back, and they got fed to the APA for it. And anybody who has ever, like, Farouk is a stiff worker. He's always been known to be, stiff, but I think a lot of it just comes from the fact that he's a former football player and he's just from the old school, and that's kind of how they did shit. Bradshaw, on the other hand, is just, that's Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Everything he lays everything in. You feel it all. Hell, that you as a member of the crowd, you can feel it. Mm-hmm. You don't actively try to fuck over your dancing partners. You don't do that because everyone's not going to react the same way. Some folks are going to take it with a grain of salt, and some folks are going to give you what you ask for.
Exactly. B-roll says, in the end, everyone will say it's a work, but for sure it has real life elements in it. I don't think this is a work. I think that the work is actually the dirt sheets themselves working us on the rumors of him walking out. I don't necessarily think he was planning on walking out. But I think that the over exaggeration from the dirt sheets is the work. But the CM Punk going into business for himself and all that bullshit that he pulled is for real. That's a shoot. Now, on the flip side of that, I think that the MJF situation was a work from day one. Everybody's like, "Oh, Tony Khan took a shoot and turned it into a work. So it was a work shoot." No, I think from day one that was a work
Yeah.
because he never said one bad word about WWE ever. He always put WWE over in interviews. He always talked about in 2024 maybe I'll go over there. Like there was always from day one he has been working. So I believe that the MJF situation is a work. Um, Generico, greetings, welcome, glad you found us. If you're not already following Generico here on the Geeks and News, please hit that follow button. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on the Pandas on the PWC on the Panda Wrestling Company, why wrestling is playing and why we can't get our podcast going, but we're here.
Mm-hmm.
B-roll says, I don't know, it feels like it kind of could be the same. And there is, it could be a work shoot with MJF. Dancing Penguin for Generico. And B-roll says, have you heard from the boss yet? No, I have not.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard from Panda, so I don't know what's going on there. Like I said, with the MJF, I'm in a minority where I think the entire thing is a work from day one. A lot of people believe it's a work shoot, and it could be, and maybe it is. I just feel, knowing what I know about the business, and I've not been in it since 2008. I have bits and pieces. I have some friends that still work for certain companies, but I've not been in it, so I don't know. However, like, just looking at MJF, if you look over his entire history with AEW, you look at all his shoot interviews, all his different interviews he's done, and the fact that he's never once badmouthed WWE. He's talked about, oh, my contract's up in 2024. He's brought up his contract ending in 2024 so much. He's talked about maybe I'll take my time to go look over there because maybe the grass will be greener. He's talked about I want to keep my options open. You know, he's the only one who have never said one bad word about WWE, minus guys like, say, like Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan, who have never badmouthed WWE. But I'm talking about AEW originals. I've checked B-roll. I've checked Discord, nothing there. I haven't checked TikTok yet, but I haven't heard it. Generico, if it were not a work, they'd never given him a live mic when the heads of the parent company in the building. Exactly.
Yep.
But B-roll, you can message me on Discord or on TikTok, either one. I got my phone right here. Whatever you need to do, you let me know. Ad played. Of course it did. Right in the middle of something important. Can you hear me now, B-roll? You can hear me now. You can message me on either TikTok or on Discord, either one. My phone is right here in my hand. So you can message me. Christ. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this and ads. Twitch is like, oh, really? Ad. See, this is why you guys need to subscribe to my channel, because then you wouldn't have to worry about ads. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Use that Prime sub, baby. Anyways. The ad's still playing. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, it's on the second out of the 2 out of 3.
All right, I'll repeat it. Let me know when it's clear.
It's 3 out of 3. Of
course it is. It's going to be a long 90-second ad too, son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. This one was 30 seconds. It's pizza.
Where'd my mouse go? There it
is. It's pizza.
The pizza ad? I'm hungry. Don't do that. I had hot dogs actually, but like it's one of those foods, like I love hot dogs, but they don't ever seem to be enough. Like I had 2 hot dogs and I felt full for a minute, but now it's been an hour and I'm like, I'm starving. I am starving. I feel like I haven't eaten all day.
It was 3 ads for me, Generico. I don't know where this.
4 ads for you. See, Generico? Hold on. All right, let me know when they're clear. Sorry for the dead silence, guys, for those who are subscribed, or if you're on like YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else, you don't get the ads. The ads are only on Twitch, so you're just like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Oh, that's funny.
Christ. Wow, this has just been a clusterfuck. But regardless, I love it. Live, live streaming, live broadcast. Gotta love live TV.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10.
All right. As soon as the ads are clear, I'll repeat what I said. Actually, I'll just type it in here.
Man, it's this has been it has been a crazy week of wrestling, but it's been a thing. But it's been it's been all right. Uh, oh dear.
Okay, he got me. All right, let's see.
All right. Because I have absolutely no idea what's going on PwC, but you know,
Yeah, no idea, no idea, no idea. Yeah, regardless, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
yeah, it'd be all
I
right.
mean, it's still new. I mean, it's only the fourth week of the PwC, so things are bound to happen. B
Yeah.
roll's gonna look into it for me, but all that. All I know is that I'm very much looking forward to AEW tomorrow. Um, um, here's the thing about it. Like, I'm looking forward to it too, but at the same time, like, why did the match get moved from All Out to this show? Like, what's going on there? And that's where like the work side of this comes in. Like, why would they move it? And what's going on?
I
Somebody
don't know,
gonna
like
interfere? Is somebody like obviously this is gonna end with an either a no contest or a disqualification or something. They're
something's
not gonna
gonna
get it resolved. You're
something's
not
gonna
taking
throw it off.
you don't take your championship off of the main event or off of the show.
There's got to be some type of build going on with that. So it's got to be something else going on. Some uh, they got to be leaning in or segueing into something more.
Yeah, I obviously it's gonna lead to something because there's not enough time to build it. Like if say Moxley loses or CM Punk loses, we get a unified champion. There's no time to build a new feud before the pay per view.
No, not
So
at all.
like, what the heck? Generico says Smosh finish leading to an MJF Punk in Chicago. My prediction. Yes, a lot of people are saying that MGF comes back and interferes in this, and that's going to set up MGF versus uh, Punk too. Now, I will say the build up to their original feud was great. However, the go home for that dog collar match, I was there in person. It was shit. And the reason I know it was shit was because the crowd, like, they weren't cheering for the match. They were literally just making up chants just to keep it alive. They wanted it to be successful, but the match in person was shit. And the thing with dog collar matches is like you have a lot to live up to.
Because there hasn't been a whole lot of them.
Yeah, so the ones that have happened are pretty great.
Even the one Punk did with Raven.
Yeah, that was much better, much better. But you think Eddie Guerrero, JBL, you think like there's been a few that have just been like, oh wow, and there was so much
Not
they
just
could have
man.
done. The best part of that match was Lord Lowe's face change. I am frozen again.
Yep.
Why does it always freeze in like the most unflattering moments?
The cold never bothered you anyway.
All right, Zoom. It's Zoom too. It's not even my camera. It's Zoom. Zoom is freaking out on me for some reason. I need to update. I think I need to update it.
Yeah. I
But
updated
I'm still here. I'm still here. Still good.
yeah.
But I I
You know,
I kind of feel like the only thing that could come out of this correctly would be the return of MJF. I don't know what else you do. I really don't. Like
I don't
unless
either.
it's just unless the two of them fight to a time limit draw, or they pull out weapons and they both get disqualified, and that leads to a no DQ unification match at the All Out. But I don't know.
The issue I have with AEW storytelling when it comes to their championship feuds is what do you say? Said Generico said, "Let's be real, really, really real." The best part of that match was it Miseria Canter? If I said that right, I don't think I said that right at all.
That's
My
how I would have
English,
said it.
yeah. I mean, still, but back to what I was saying, the issue I have with AEW and their storytelling is it's not structured the same way most other wrestling promotions would structure it. They try to tell the story in the ring without telling the story outside of the ring first. They don't connect the pieces very well with any like segments and mic work. It feels there's a lot of gray area between the matches.
Well, my issue is the fact that most of their matches are not telling a story. They're not. There's no ring psychology to their matches.
No.
They're just spot fest, and you can do that if you tell the story outside the ring first. You can get
Yeah.
away with this. You can get away with the occasional spot fest match if you tell the story prior. But
Hmm.
the thing with wrestling, and reason that we kind of talked about this last week about the whole long matches and shit. WWE is going back to long matches, but those matches tell stories.
Yeah.
You can tell that you have to. Like, it's about inside the ropes, inside the squared circles where you tell the story. But if you're going to have a match that's nothing but a spot fest, you've got to make sure you have a solid story outside first. And that's something they don't do. But one thing else that they do, and this goes back to our topic of the dirt sheets, AEW relies on the dirt sheets to help tell their stories. I
It
believe
feels like
a lot of AEW leaks are on purpose.
it feels kind of lazy. It feels like they're
Yeah.
it
I
feels
well,
kind of
okay.
lazy.
I get what you're saying about lazy, and that's what I want to say too. But to play devil's advocate, to give Tony Khan the benefit of the doubt, he's doing all of creative by himself. So it may not be lazy. It may be that he's just overwhelmed and thus needs. And it's like, okay, I can fall back on this, and it eases some of the tension off of me. Now that's me
Yeah.
playing devil's advocate. I feel like it's lazy, but again, to play devil's advocate, it could be the fact that he's overwhelmed. And if that's the case, get some help.
Yes, but
And not in your and not just from your wrestlers, not from your creative control guys, not from guys like CM Punk or Chris Jericho who want to have full control over their shit. Get a creative team. Even if it's just
please,
one or two more people. Have people to help you book the show.
because it's not gonna he's gonna constantly run into these pitfalls and these little bumps in the road, and it's not gonna fare well for him. Not in the long run, anyways.
Yeah, Jericho making some great point. You have William
Yes,
Regal,
William
utilize
Regal.
him. Yes,
Like William Regal was
absolutely.
not just he was not just the on screen GM. He
No,
helped with production.
he was VP of creative in NXT.
Exactly. Like
Shawn Michaels is now in that role. Or no, I think Shawn Michaels is VP of all talent relations
yeah, I
in the
think yeah.
company. I think that's what they said. Regardless, like, yeah, William Regal. Like, Triple H is like, oh God, I miss William Regal.
We all miss him.
Like, so, like, you have him. Use him. You have people there. You have good producers. Utilize them. Jeff Jarrett is now free.
And
And
also, that's not
say what you want about Jeff Jarrett, but he can do good work too. Grab him up. Have him help you.
yep, bro. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you go do your thing. I'll keep ranting on about this. Like Jeff. Like, look, say what you want about Jeff Jarrett. He maybe didn't fit the Triple H creative, which is why he's no longer there. But think back to TNA and what they did with the X Division. X Division was nothing but high spots, but high spots that told a story. That's the person you want helping you with AEW. So grab Jeff Jarrett. He's free. You know, you had a chance with Eric Bischoff, but then you shit all over that. And regardless of what you want to say about Eric Bischoff, he did good work in WCW for a while, but he allowed those creative control contracts. He allowed the wrestlers take over. He allowed the inmates to run the asylum, as it were. I'm sure he's learned from that. Generico makes another great point. Imagine a booking committee of Tony Khan, Regal, and Taz. Yes, you have Taz. You have people to help. You have people that are not more focused on their own career, but the overall product that can help. He just needs to come up with a booking committee to help him. And AEW is in the process of just doing this. They are already starting to go down. Rampage is getting to a point where the numbers are getting so low it could be canceled or moved. And it's hurting them big time. They can jump right back up with just some help at creative. That's all they obviously have the talent. They obviously have the talent. They obviously have the talent. They just need a little bit of help at creative. I just don't know. I just don't know. Uh, it's it's also, again, they need to not rely. They need to not rely on the dirt sheets to help tell their story. Rampage needs to be live. Pre-taping too many things is what's really killing them. You pre-tape the 2 YT shows. Anything on the network should be live. Absolutely, I agree with that as well. Obviously, that's going to be a cost thing, but Rampage should be its own damn show. It shouldn't be a continuation of Dynamite. It's just come out recently that they're having to pipe in audience sound, and it's not that the audience doesn't love the matches on Rampage, but they're dead. You're taping all the dark and dark elevation prior to Dynamite, then you're taping Dynamite, or you're filming Dynamite Live, and then you're taping Rampage. These people are sitting through 5 or 6 hours of wrestling. They're just tired. And so the crowds are dead by the time Rampage gets filmed. And so they're having to pipe in audience sounds when they edit Rampage and get it set up for TV. And some of the best episodes of Rampage have been when they've done the live Rampages on Friday nights before like a pay-per-view or something. So, like, I don't understand why you're not. Hey, it looks like we got the Twitch thing finally fixed. So we are live on the PWC now. I think Elevation and Dark are now being recorded at Universal, I think, to help alleviate that issue. But I don't think it's all the time. So I'll have to double check on that. But we are now, as we're hitting the hour mark, we are now finally live on the PWC Twitch. So I will throw out the Rootless Coffee ad. PWC, the Panda Wrestling Company, is brought to you by Rootless Coffee. Go to rootlesscoffee.com. That's rootlesscoffee.com. Use the code Panda Coffee, all one word, PANDACOFFE, for 15% off all non-branded coffee and all merchandise. Some of the best coffee in the world at rootlesscoffee.com. So, back to what we were saying. Generico, I do believe that they are filming Dark and Elevation now at Universal. I had heard that they're doing it there, but I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing, if they're going to go back. That does help alleviate the issue somewhat, but people are still tired by the end. It's like Raw. Raw being 3 hours is hard. It's hard. And why do you think WWE structures Raw in the way it does? And we could start to see, people are really excited over the Triple H era. And so they're staying hyped throughout Raw, and we're having great main events. But the downside to the long matches, excuse me. Pardon me. Oh, had saliva go down the wrong way. Sorry about that, guys. The downside to these long matches is it doesn't give crowd time to rejuvenize. And by having all these, promo segments in between, the bigger promo segments. Yes, Mr. B-Roll, we are now finally on the PWC. So we'll see if, as long as that continues, hopefully we'll be okay. Don't know what happened there, but we are all good. Ooh. I feel the reason, Jericho brings up, I feel the reason that Gargano returned last night was because AEW is in Cleveland tomorrow. No wondering, kill the speculation. Possibly. I also think that a Toronto crowd is a good crowd to do that in front of. Mr. B, I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened. The wrestling finally ended. I guess maybe they didn't time it out right. Bree, welcome. We are finally live. We're show's been going for an hour. We just had some technical issues that we couldn't get on Twitch on the PWC, but we're here now. Devil God will be back shortly. He had to step out for just a second. But ow. It's always bad when saliva gets down the wrong way. Ugh. Regardless. Yeah, I don't know. Like, part of the reason that they brought Gargano back now instead of waiting could have been because of all those rumors that he was going to be in AEW. But I think the reality is that Canadian crowds are super hot crowds, and it was a good crowd to do it in front of. And also that, like Gargano said, he actually won one of his championships in that very building. So there was meaning there. There was something to it. So a nice surprise with no dirt sheet rumors about it, which was crazy. Nobody knew. So it was good to see him back. Good to see how that went. Welcome back there, sir. You missed me choking to death on my own saliva?
Oh, no, I heard you.
Oh, okay. As long as you heard it.
Right.
But, yeah, AEW needs to, instead of relying on the dirt sheets, because this is a perfect example. Like, let's say Gargano didn't surprise show up yesterday. So we still don't know where he's going to go. And then we got the dirt sheets with the rumor that Gargano will be in Cleveland to mess in that match. And the fact that the dirt sheets have been kind of part of the foundation of the booking in AEW, something they've relied on to help their booking, and then it doesn't happen, how pissed is everybody in AEW as far as fans go? How pissed are they that it doesn't happen? So AEW needs to stop relying on the dirt sheet.
Yep, because it's not gonna always be accurate like we've said before. They're gonna miss. It's not
Yeah.
consistent. It's not accurate information all the time.
No.
It's like I'm a vast majority of the time they're shooting in the dark. And if you're
Exactly.
constantly leaning on that kind of algorithm to work out for you, you're gonna be left a little you know vulnerable whenever you can't make good on certain promises via the dirt sheets.
Yeah, and I think short-sightedly, Tony Khan loves the fact that it's hit and miss. And that he can, like, oh, it's always going to be a surprise because they don't know if the dirt sheets are right or not. But here I am leaning on the dirt sheets to help me tell stories. And that's going to bite him in the ass. And it's going to, and something like this, like, I think Tony Khan needs to call Triple H up and thank him profusely. Because had Gargano not come out on Monday night, and they had waited until after this Wednesday, and the crowd would lose their mind that Johnny Gargano did not show up, and they would be pissed. So
Man.
they're literally dodging a bullet because of Triple H.
Oh yeah.
So I think Tony Khan needs to send him some flowers and some chocolate or something Be
man.
like, hey, dude, you saved my ass this week. So,
Because you can't do that.
no,
You can't rely on the
no,
randomness of that.
can't.
Oh, that's weird. What?
EPW show, I'm sorry, I didn't see that you had waved at us. Hello to you as well, sir. I'd missed that. Sorry about that. But yeah, I just don't. So when it comes to the dirt sheets, I think that especially in the Wrestle Talk community, they rely too much on the dirt sheets as 100% true journalism versus the rumors that
Mm,
they are. Everybody needs to take a step back, understand that unless you get this story confirmed by WWE or this story confirmed by AEW or whatever company they're reporting about,
yep.
if they do not get a confirmation from that company or somebody willingly, not an anonymous source, if somebody willingly says, like Triple H states or Shawn Michaels states or Tony Khan states or whatever, if they do not come out and say it's officially from the company, take your dirt sheet stories with a Mount Everest size grain of salt. I don't care who's reporting it. If it comes from Sean Ross Sapp, still take it with a grain of salt. If it comes from Dave
Mm,
Meltzer, still take it with a grain. Everybody reporting, if you do not get a confirmation from a named source, it is a rumor.
yep.
Do not put much faith in that rumor until it is confirmed. Period. That would make the tension in the IWC so much greater.
I mean, I spent.
The
You
casual,
saw. I fuck
so
out.
Jericho says the casual fans, the ones AEW should be attracting, don't give a shit about the dirt sheets anyways. Exactly.
No, they
Exactly.
are there for entertainment. They
The
are
casual
there to.
fans. So when you depend on the dirt sheets to help you tell stories, that's why some like if you like honestly, I throw this experiment out to anybody who wants to try it. And it's going to be hard because a lot of us watching are part of the PWC and we like to, we are wrestle talk and everything else and we try to stay on top of things. Take a month off from the dirt sheets. Don't pay attention to any stories. See somebody on TikTok start to talk about a rumor or something they heard, you swipe away. If it's if somebody you follow, hit heart and swipe away, it's fine. But ignore it for a month and then try watching AEW. You're going to see that half of the story is missing. You're going to be like, this seems off. Something seems weird. Without that knowledge, and this is something I've had casual fans of AEW tell me, or casual wrestling fans who have watched AEW tell me, it's like they don't know what's going on.
It's sad,
It's
man.
one thing you can walk away from WWE for years, and you can come back in, and within a couple weeks, within 2 weeks, you are all cut up.
Yep.
It would take you 2 weeks, if that. 2 Raws, 2 SmackDowns, you're caught up. AEW isn't like that.
No.
And unless you're staying on top of the news of everything going on, you just don't. It's impossible to know what's going on. And you're also going to look at it and go, well, these stories aren't compelling. Now we have a decent story with Jungle Boy and Christian Cage, which feels like it's starting to get pushed to the back burner.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, the CM Punk Moxley storyline. I understand that wasn't expected to happen in the first place. It had to deal with Punk's injury and Mox getting pushed to get that interim title. But it doesn't feel organic.
No.
Even though the thing is, there's things there they can build off of. The heat and animosity between Eddie Kingston and CM Punk, and that Moxley being friends with Eddie Kingston, you can build off of. There's all but he tried to make it, CM Punk tried to make it a personal thing about how he's never the best in any group he's in. They tried to bring the WWE in, which again, AEW needs to lay off of that. They need to stop that. It's just, again, if anybody's willing to do the experiment, And I know it's a hard one for all of us, but to just completely ignore the dirt sheets for a month and just watch Dynamite and Rampage. See if you can follow along.
We won't be able
Because that's
to.
the
It's
other
not.
problem. Here's the other problem with that is that not only does AEW count on the dark sheets, they count on their fans going out of their way to spend time to watch Dark and Elevation a lot of times too.
Nobody watches it. No,
Ooh,
no.
Jericho makes a fantastic point. If the main point of somebody else's promo is stuff that happened elsewhere, you're admitting you're second best.
Let
That is 1,000% accurate.
me see.
Because that's the thing, is it's like everything that Punk said made no sense. It actually didn't even make sense in WWE because Dean Ambrose went on to become a world champion and carry himself. But in AEW, he has been on his own. He has been the heart and soul of the company, and he has been there nearly from day one of Dynamite, anyways, and has always been at the top of his game. Now, he's recently joined the Blackpool Combat Club within the last 6 months, helped form that faction. But the people he's with, you know, Brian Danielson, Claudio, and Wheeler, and William Regal. How do you not join up with those guys? Like seriously? How do you not join up with those guys? But Moxley is still at the top of his game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. You bring up other stuff from other promotions. You're admitting you're second best.
Mm-hmm. It's it's because you when you do that, you inherently bring up the comparisons. It's like you have to. You you can't be like, okay, I'm the best at what I'm doing. It's like, how do I know that when you're always trying to compare yourself to whomever else and the all the WWE jokes and all the slights at them. Like if you're trying to put your promotion over, you would not be talking about the competition, now would you? You don't need to be talking about whoever else is out there because I remember very vividly when TNA was first coming up, they didn't talk about WWE. They didn't drop names on them. They went out there and they put on their show.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
all.
anybody who came, like,
Mm,
I was there when Christian Cage premiered. I was there when Sting premiered. I was there, through all of that. I was there whether I was in the audience or working security or working dark matches at TNA. I was there for all of it. And never, ever, ever did any other promotion come up.
no, unless they were talking about like the career highlights, they
Yeah.
wouldn't really mention any like what was it? I remember when Team 3D when they when the Dudley Boys debuted in TNA, they mentioned that they were one of the most decorated tag teams of all time. They mentioned them winning titles in WWE and in ECW, and it wasn't a slight. It was like I respect the fact that we respect your legacy prior to coming here. They did the same thing when Balor first showed up in WWE. They mentioned he was a former New Japan Junior Heavyweight Champion and everything like that. And that I feel like that should be the only extent you should name drop another company is when you're speaking of the accolades that they that they have. They didn't do that with AJ Styles so much, but I still feel like that should be the limit on name dropping another company within your own. Making all of these jokes and um, slapstick comments and shit like that, it gets old quick. Like them doing that is the equivalent of a fucking yo mama joke in the middle of a promo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it feels like.
But going back to the dirt sheet, I kind of feel like they play a part in that as well. like in kind of the exact opposite. Like, got people like Meltzer who like, well, like Finn Balor is a complete waste in WWE because here's this person who all these accolades in New Japan and look at who he was and blah 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 blah, and put out stories basically bashing indirectly, but bashing Finn Balor,
Yeah.
and that does nothing but hurt Finn Balor.
This isn't like, a fan being like, he's my favorite wrestler. I want to see him do more stuff. I want to see him win world titles. I want to see him contend for more world titles and things like that, where you're lobbying for him to get these pushes that you feel like he deserves. This it's a complete opposite. It's the polar opposite of wanting them to be successful in whatever company they're wrestling in. Like, when you make those 9-day comparisons, yeah, it kind of leaves them out to dry.
Yeah, and I also there's another side to the dirt sheets, and this is something that all journalism has to deal with on every aspect, and we're seeing it in every aspect of journalism right now. When you write a story, you're supposed to write it from an objective, emotionless perspective. Hey, that wrestling lady, welcome to the show. Nice to see you. Um, you're supposed to write it not from your own personal biases. However, show me one dirt sheet, whether it be Fightful, whether it be the Wrestling Observer, whether it be Ringside News, whether it be Wrestling Inc., whether it be What Culture, whether it be Cultaholic, whether it be any of them. Show me one, just one, that all of their stories are written from an objective, impersonable position
I
and
got
not
nothing.
flooded with personal biases.
I got nothing.
You can't. I mean,
No.
as an example, What Culture Wrestling was so up AEW's ass when it started. One of their guys literally wrote a book. He wrote two books that came out at the same exact time. One was called The Rise and Fall of NXT. Now, this was before 2.0, by the way. This was when it was still black and gold. This was when NXT was the best thing that they had going in WWE, even though it didn't win the quote unquote Wednesday Night Wars, which wasn't a thing.
Oh.
Uh, the Rise and Fall of NXT and I think it's the meteoric rise of AEW, how this company came out to be the greatest, blah, blah, blah. And so that entire channel was swayed. But now, in the Triple H era,
Mm-hmm.
they have put out more videos and articles about how AEW has lost its way and how AEW is failing. And it's a fickle, fickle world, the dirt sheets. And they are all written from a personal feelings perspective versus just reporting the news.
Yeah.
And there's no journalistic integrity there. There's nothing. I'm gonna start writing a book about the historic meteoric rise of the Panda Wrestling Company.
Jesus Christ.
uh,
I feel like a lot of people
just
who
a
speak
side
about
note. Go ahead. I was gonna say I have a side note, but go ahead.
I feel like a lot of people who do any type of wrestling content, whether it be on a more major scale or bigger scale, like Cultaholic, What Culture, and such, boiled all the way down to people who make TikTok videos. A lot of folks can't tell the difference between being subjective and being objective. Just stating the facts, stating what's out there, being unbiased. Giving praise to those, even those you don't like, giving them their props type of deal, versus just shooting the shit and telling people how you feel about something. And either way, it's wrong. But don't claim to be objective when it's obvious you're being subjective. Like, it's weird. It's very weird. Like if you're gonna give your take, if you're gonna do hot takes, do hot takes and own that
Yeah,
shit.
call it that though.
Yeah,
Set up the expectation.
yeah, like own that shit. Let us know. It's like that's why I respect Jade. It's literally in his fucking name. The infamous opinionist. He's letting you know off rip the moment you click on his page. This is what I think.
Yeah.
He didn't pull any punches. He let you know this is what I think. This is how I feel about XYZ.
And guess what? I love Jade.
Yeah.
Jade is my friend. We don't always agree. And we can
Oh,
have a proper discourse about it without getting at each other's throats. Why? Because we're friends and we know going in that these are opinions. That's what makes it great. The dirt sheets like to go out there and pretend that they're the end all be all of the news, but most of the time it's
God.
their opinions on things and not fact. Oh, but
They're
opinions
not.
can't be wrong. We've had this talk. Yes, they can.
It's
Opinions can
opinions can
absolutely
be
be wrong.
weird. Yeah, most definitely. Especially if it's coming from the angle of misinformation,
Hmm?
immorality,
And bias.
and yeah, and extreme bias of any form of fashion. Opinion can definitely be wrong because it that's like the whole. See, whenever I do it on my TikTok, I always call him redacted because I mean you can't search him up in any WWE search engines anywhere. But you know what I'm talking about. That's like people who support him and they're like, I'm not room for liking him. I was like, I mean, you kind of are because
Yeah. It's one thing to look at his skill and his ability in the ring.
yeah,
And,
but
and appreciate and you can appreciate that he was talented in the ring.
well, definitely, but to just
But to
be like,
continue
oh
to, oh, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. No.
no,
No. I
like
actually have
let
a
this
story. I have a story about him in that weekend.
go for it.
And I'm sure you guys can figure out who we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Well, the weekend he won, he was supposed to win the world title that weekend that everything went down. Then he was going to be down at FCW to do some training and like kind of like that whole like I have a story about Rene Dupree I'll tell next, Generico.
to finish TikTok.
I have a great Rene Dupree story. Love that man. Anyways, um he was supposed to come down and be like when they occasionally would send a superstar down to talk to everybody and kind of like, here, let me show you some techniques and show me what you got and let me see where you're at. So that Wednesday, he was supposed to be down in Florida after that pay per view that he was supposed to show up at. And so I was looking forward to getting to meet him and work with him because I really did appreciate his ability. I was so hyped. And then I got a phone call telling me that he was gone, but they didn't know any details, but that he was dead. And then Monday, and then by Tuesday, we all knew what had actually happened. And that Wednesday class was very weird. We were all like, "Oh God, what do we do?" It was very, very weird. Um, quick Rene Dupree story. I've worked two dark matches in my time in AEW or in WWE. I got to work two dark matches in Tampa. Both of them with Rene Dupree. Uh, love that dude to death. This was after the split from the tag team, and he was on his solo run. And so the dark matches were kind of like feeling out his solo run as well as just pushing enhancement talent to get squash. It was supposed to be a squash match. Rene Dupree is much bigger than me. I am 5'8". When I wrestled, I weighed 175 pounds, maybe. Decent shape, but not like ripped or anything. Rene Dupree, obviously, in incredible, incredible shape. And, well, I'm sure over 6 foot tall. That man, 6'3". Thank you. That man, for both matches, was like, I'm like, okay, so what do you want to hit me with? I know we've only got a few minutes. He's like, no, no, no. No, no, no. We've got 8 minutes. So what do you want to do? What do you want to get in? That man let me get in offense. He's like, this is your hometown. I'll let you know. He let me get in offense, even though he knew that they were looking at him and his future singles run here. That man let me get in offense. And I respect him for that. And he was just a really nice guy. So love Rene Dupree. But yeah, back to what we were talking about. Just two quick stories. Back to what we were talking about. Opinions can be wrong. And if you are writing stories about the business from a personal perspective, unless you're like, hey, this is an opinion piece, and those are fine. Editorials are fine.
Yeah.
If you make it clear that this is an opinion piece,
there's nothing to argue about. There's nothing.
Go off, my friend.
Yeah, do
But
what you do.
When you're reporting news, it needs to be from an objective, professional, unbiased, and unemotional perspective.
Okay, how generic you saying?
And nobody in the dirt sheets writes like that. Nobody.
No, God no.
And it's sad.
No.
I think I would say that because I've worked, like I said, I've worked in as a journalist, mostly in the comic book and comic book movie realm, but also in the wrestling realm. And when it comes to the comic book movie realm, you got websites like comicbook.com, comic book resources, comicbookmovie.com. There are certain ones that let you be known that everything is written from a personal perspective. They give you it's known that we're writing everything from that perspective. But like comicbook.com does a great job of most of their articles are not written. They're written from an unbiased journalistic perspective. These are the facts. Here it is. They do editorial pieces, but they do that. The wrestling journalistic side of things feels like the only fandom that none of it is written from a journalistic integrity perspective. It's all written from personal perspective, even though they try to play it off as journalism. It's not. It's all editorial pieces, even when they're trying to report on news. And that's sad. That's sad.
It is because it goes from, this is what's happening this week, and I'm just letting you know this. Flat, cut and clear. No, no weird addendums, no weird things like that. No one can manage to do that. They can't tell it like how you would see someone on the news just reading off a teleprompter. People on the news, they're just reading what's in front of them and they're just stating it how it is. They're giving you the information at hand. They don't do that. This isn't like basketball journalists who are just telling you the stats, the facts, what happened in the game last night. No, folks get personal. Folks start, sprinkling in their thoughts and their ideas about the product. It's like we didn't ask you all of that.
But
we asked you what happened.
It's also like this. So like let's go back to the CM Punk story.
Yep.
Certain places have reported that he was definitely going to walk out and take his ball and go home. They're reporting it that way because they don't like CM Punk. And here's the difference. I don't like CM Punk. I've told you why I don't like CM Punk. I have personal experiences with CM Punk, and I don't like the guy. I met him again. I told you guys about the tribute for troops when I was in the Army and they came to my base and did the show there.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't give two shits about anybody that was there. Service members. The show is meant to honor our service members. And he didn't want to interact with anybody. He didn't want to do any signings. He didn't want to do anything. He did the ones that he was forced to do by WWE, like going out in the tank and all that stuff. But he didn't do any signings. He didn't do anything. When he came out to the crowd, when the show was over, he went straight to the back. He wouldn't shake anybody's hand. While, Bryan Danielson, then Daniel Bryan, stayed out for 45 minutes trying to take pictures with everybody and say hi to everybody. John Cena, same thing. But if I wrote that story I can put all my personal biases aside and report on just the news that I know.
Mm-hmm.
These are the facts I've been giving. And by the way, they're not facts, they are rumors. And that's the other thing that these things don't do is they like to redact themselves and be like, "Oh, well, it's just a rumor." The article should start that way.
Please lead in with that.
This is
Please.
just a right now this is just a rumor that we're hearing. Most of these articles, they say these rumors as if they're fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem too.
Like
Just because you
the
hear from a
verbiage.
reliable sources aren't always right.
No, they
And if you
miss.
can't name the person, that means it's not confirmed. If this is
Exactly.
an anonymous source you cannot name, then it is not confirmed
That's
by the
like
company.
that's like the video I made the other day, speaking on it, and I'm like, or even the comments I left, talking about, I'd rather hear it from a direct source, or at least someone who is in genuine proximity to what's going on. I don't like, I don't like third party messages. I don't care for it, because things can get garbled from the genuine source to the next. The story can change 3, 4 different times by the time
It
it
becomes
hits
a
the
game of
last.
telephone.
Exactly. And it it's like what was actually said, and when the actual story hits, like, that's not the version I heard, that's not what I was told. And then, of course, the confusion, and then we're back to square one. That's why I said I don't care for rumors. I don't care for none of that shit.
I
Because
I'll say this. I have a friend who is a producer at WWE. I will not say who it is. Um, but somebody I've now known, I met kind of by happenstance, back in 2003, maybe 2002. And now they're a producer, WWE. I talk to them once every 3 to 6 months. I don't ever ask them what's going on, even though I have this quote unquote inside track. Occasionally, we do talk about things in the business. I mainly just ask how the family's doing, how work's going. We talk, like I said, every 3 to 6 months. I know certain things backstage that I have not told anybody. I know certain things backstage that I will never tell anybody, because I am not about to allow my friendship with this person to become something of usage and thus
no,
ruin the friendship. And but I have an inside track. But even if he came to me and said, "Hey, look, I know you're doing this podcast. I know you're working with them." He does. He knows about this podcast. I'm going to give you an exclusive. If he was to ever give me an exclusive, if he was ever to tell me, "Hey, this, here's something," I'm still going to come to you guys. Here's a rumor from an anonymous source. Even if he knows for a fact, he can come to me like, "Look," he can give me exact dates, times, everything. Because one, I'm not selling him out. And two, until it actually happens or is confirmed by the company to happen, it's still a rumor.
you
Cards subject to change, ladies and gentlemen. So even if he
always.
is right, but I do want to bring this up. I heard from Punk's dog Larry that he hasn't taken him on a walk in a week. He obviously saving his steps for walking out of AEW. Here's the sad part. I believe that over most of the dirt sheets.
It's fucking hilarious.
So it's and you want to know how I know? Like, first off, anything he does tell me, I still have to take as a rumor because he can't get me press access to WWE. He's a fucking producer, and he cannot get me press access. He has tried. He cannot get me press access. So anything he knows, I still have to take as a rumor because he's obviously not. It's not. He's not at a level to where he has that kind of pull. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but even if he was somebody up there who could get me that kind of like, I would never use him to get the access. If he offered it to me and had the ability to give it to me, of course I'm going to take it. Plus, it would also give me the opportunity to see some of my friends more and more, which would be great. But like, I'm never going to abuse that, and I feel like that's kind of what happens with dirt sheets. Is these people have weaseled their way into backstages, or at least into contact with people backstage, and have a turn abused that for their own financial gain. Generico es muy reliable. I can't roll my R's for some reason. Reliable. I don't. You know what? That was horrible. I apologize to everybody. So and I have to blame some of this on the current instant gratification of social media. There's no time to research things anymore. You have to like, oh, heard the story. I got to get it out there first. I got to get the story out there first. Did my camera, son of a bitch, zoom, you piece of shit? It's zoomed too. I can see it. It says zoom not responding, even though I can hear you just fine. You're moving just fine.
You're doing this. You're doing.
Yeah. And then I did it like you guys can see me. My camera's frozen. I could be doing anything right now. I'm standing up with my. I am standing up with my pants down. How about that?
Yeah. Oh,
no, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not.
Let's not say we never did.
Not. I promise you, I'm not. See, I'm sitting down. My pants are off, but I'm sitting down.
Oh, jeez.
No, my pants are on. I'm wearing PJs though. That's 100% shoot. I'm wearing PJ pants. I have never worn actual pants for any of my podcasts.
I'm always in shorts.
I have always worn PJs. I am at home. So
yeah,
I have always worn my PJs and slippers. I am never, ever like fully dressed. Okay, all right.
Now let's fix
the camera again.
I did a Zoom interview like that. I was.
Oh, 1,000%. Dress shirts. No, I've done interviews with like higher end people, and I put on a really nice shirt. And I'm interviewing these celebrities, and I've got pajamas on underneath. They can't see them. No,
they don't know.
But yeah. So like the dirt sheets, it just feels like out of any other fandom, out of any other thing, because even like in the NFL, you've got people who do that. There are a lot of people out there that spread rumors, but for the majority of it, the NFL, NBA, MLB news is news.
Yep.
And when it's rumors, they make it very clear this is a rumor. We have heard this. Take it with a grain of salt.
And they also put it on certain programming that's made for that. Like most rumors get funneled through First Take, but all news comes through Sports Center. Mm-hmm. You know, they do it like that so they can separate it.
Ian Rappaport with the NFL, he'll say something. Then he goes on the Pat McAfee show and gives his opinion on it. Mm-hmm. And they make it very clear that the rap sheet with Rappaport and friends on the Pat McAfee show is opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Now he'll go, here's the facts that I know, and then he'll give his opinion on what it could mean. But he also makes it very clear. Here are the facts. Now here's my opinion. They make it very clear. That is that. In like I said, in the comic book world, while people on Comic Talk tend to give their opinions as if they're facts, and Generico's right, we need to like, this is kind of what we're talking about. Separate it. Mm-hmm. If you're going to write bullshit, at least brand it as such. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the comic book world, comic book stories, there now for every comicbook.com, we got this covered or a giant freaking robot, which is nothing but, hey, we're going to make up a bunch of rumors just to get traction. And if it doesn't work out, well, it was a rumor. We don't know. You know, they play that game. Oh, look at this exclusive. Here's an exclusive. We've heard this. Oh, it didn't work out that way? It's just what we heard. That was from our source. Sorry. And you find out that the source is their own mind, and they made it up. We Got This Covered was one of the absolute worst sites ever when it came to making up rumors, but they were able to get enough clout and enough clicks for their clickbait. They got bought out by Viacom, I think it was. One of these bigger companies bought them out recently because their numbers because their rise was meteoric. It was just ridiculous because they made up a bunch of rumors to get clicks. And that's bullshit. However, most of the reporting, I would say, in the comic book world and all that kind of stuff, in that fandom, is done factually, and then when it is a rumor, they make it very clear it's a rumor. Music, same way.
Yeah.
Movies in general, like trying to think of all these different avenues. Wrestling is the
It's
only
fun.
one that it's all written from personal biases, and it's all written
Mhm.
in almost this "we got this covered" clickbait style. And thanks to the instant gratification of social media nowadays, nobody has time to research anything, so they just either they hear a rumor and run with it, and they hear a bit of it and they just explode it, or they make the whole thing up in the knowing that they're going to get clicks.
Nor do they take the
It's it
time to do research either.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
It's just
it's absolutely insane.
they bite the first fish hook that drops in the water, and that's just that. You know, they don't people don't look into things. People don't try to see if there's any type of validity to the statements being made. They just, oh, what? This wrestler has backstage heat because they wear these type of boots and trunks. What?
Yeah.
No,
Which, by the way, that reporter and that website has never been backstage at one of these shows.
exactly.
They heard it from
Yeah,
a guy who heard it from a guy who, like, their source is the janitor from another arena who happens to be friends with the janitor from that arena who overheard a conversation with a security guard from that arena who happened to be eavesdropping outside of a locker room who thought he heard something that maybe went this way. That's their source.
yep.
And like the only like I said, Fightful does attempt. We have heard from a couple of wrestlers backstage who have asked to remain anonymous.
Hmm.
Da 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 da. Okay, that story's a
They
little bit more believable. A little bit more believable.
they lead it in with the notion that, hey, this is what we heard. It may not be true. You know, that's the way
For
they
the
lead in
most
their
part.
articles.
For
Yeah,
the
like
most part, they do that.
yeah,
But even they
like
don't always do it.
no, but like if more wrestling related, journalists and pages like that, if they were to lead in with their takes that way, if they were to start off like that, it would be better. And but they don't, and they want to present that, and it happens in journalism, happens amongst creators and wrestle talk. They state their opinions as if they're facts, and it's just odd, you know. It's okay to have your opinions. It's okay to do hot takes and takes, like we said before, but don't sit up here and tell me that what you think, your perception of this product is a fact. It's not. It's just your opinion. That's all it's ever going to be. You
And I
can create an echo chamber if you like, but
yeah,
it's just your opinion.
I think another one of the worst things about the Wrestle Talk side of the dirt sheets. I'm going to call the Wrestle Talk dirt sheets because they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We've got people on Wrestle Talk on TikTok that are out there who have either never wrestled a day in their lives,
Boy.
or maybe they were part of some BS battle royal, who suddenly think they're experts because they went to a show or something, and they're out there, they're calling people like Liv Morgan lazy in the ring,
You can't even
and
describe what
they're
that
out there.
means.
I'm like, how dare you? How dare you say that somebody who wrestles 300 days a year, bust their ass, has been doing it for nearly a decade, you're gonna call her lazy when you couldn't even lace up her boots? You piece of shit! Like, what are you doing?
They probably break their arm. They break their arm trying to get into the ring.
It's sad, and like there's that old saying, those who can't do teach, and I
Hmm.
think that it should be modified to those who can't become journalists. Um, because that's what, especially in the wrestling world, it's all those people that they're obviously fans of the business, but they could never do it,
Yeah.
and they went on to become journalists, and just there's a part of them that is spiteful over the fact that they couldn't become wrestlers. and that
Yeah,
bleeds out into their and it murks their journalistic integrity to the point where it doesn't exist.
it does. It happens in like all different types of mediums too. Like with what's his name? Colin Cowherd. He is probably the I can't stand the man. Ugh,
I
because
used to like
he
him. I used to like him, but I didn't really watch him. I just watched some clips. Then I've realized that the clips were cut in a certain way to make him look good. And when
yep.
I started watching him, I was like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit."
If you watch his full takes, the absolute bias he has
Insane.
for certain players and
Like Skip
shit.
Bayless.
Yeah, oh Lord. And, and and I'm so glad that Shannon Sharp is there
Oh
on
yeah,
almost all of the he is the perfect counter perfect counterbalance to that because when they talk basketball, it's kind of in between. But when they talk football, oh Shannon Sharp ain't going for that.
nope.
Do play and won what? How many Super Bowls? What, 2 or 3?
2 or 3. I think it's 3.
One of the
It's
greatest
definitely
tight ends.
definitely 2. I think it's
Yeah,
3, but definitely 2.
one of the greatest tight ends of all time, if not the greatest tight end of all time, as far as uh shit stats goes. And yeah, he's gonna do what he does the same thing that Alex Kane does on Wrestle
Yeah.
Talk. He's like, I've done this, I've lived this. You wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna stop you right there. You stay in the stands where you belong.
To quote the Miz, "You're doing this. I want you to do this." Um, as we come to the end of the show, we got about 10 minutes left. I do want to talk about. There are some people on Wrestle Talk and on the internet that are defending the dirt sheets. That's wild to me.
It is.
There are people that have literally a thread of videos on Wrestle Talk, multiple videos defending the dirt sheets. Why? First off, what do you gain from that? Second of
Yeah.
all, why are you defending proven issues in a dirt sheet? I mean, just in the last year alone, I can't even count how high they've this is going to happen and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This person said this and they're like, "Nope, no I didn't." You know, like all this stuff like just in the last year alone, it's a number, it's an astronomical number. So over the last 40 years, it's insane. So why are people defending the dirt sheet?
Didn't tell you.
What is there to defend?
Aside from the right, someone's right to journalism, nothing. Like people can report whatever they want to. That's your right to open your mouth and say the shit. But to
It's not freedom of
mislead
the it's
people like that,
it's not freedom of the press when you're not press.
that's true.
If you are an opinion piece masquerading as press, you are not press.
This is why I call folks like that would be journalists.
Yeah.
Like you're stating your opinion on a big enough platform so where you can say it's journalism. Just because you give me 2,500 characters on why this is going on, that's going on, doesn't necessarily make it a journalism piece. It can all just be an editorial, and you just stated your opinion in that piece. Didn't make it objective.
I don't understand the defense of the dirt sheets. I don't understand like first of all, they don't need your defense.
No,
If you like them, continue to read them. Continue to
do
be
your
duped.
thing.
That's on you. You want to be duped by the dirt sheets because the people that defend them also take everything that happens in the dirt sheets as 100% fact.
And that is a
And then they
that's
either
a
get pissed, yeah, they either get pissed when it doesn't happen or they just look stupid because they swore up and down this, this, and this. They
you
get worked. They get worked by the dirt sheets. They're marks for the
oh,
dirt sheets. And that's more sad than the marks in the business.
and,
You're getting worked by the dirt sheets. Calm it
yep.
down. Not that big a deal.
And then you can't double down on it when they're wrong
Yeah.
because then you just look like a jackass. The best thing you can do is take take that full step back and sit the fuck down because
Yeah.
you're backing up people who have no backing of their own.
Erica once again with the words of wisdom. "Quote unquote, plans changed only works so many times. Eventually, you need
Yep.
to just realize it's crap." Exactly. It's like I talked to you about, we got this covered. So many people bought into their bullshit. They clicked on their headlines, their clickbait. And then when things didn't work out, 99 times out of 100, oh, plans change. And they relied on that to get themselves bought by a huge company. And it's because people don't realize exactly what you need to realize. It's just crap.
Yep.
It's just BS for clicks. It's worse now than ever.
Oh yeah.
And it feeds the toxic fan base. It is like spinach to Popeye, man, for the toxic fan base.
Oh.
They use this shit, they use these rumors as facts to justify their bullshit behavior. That is incredibly sad.
And
It's
when you call
incredibly
them
sad.
on
And
it,
it
they're
makes
mad.
people, there's so many people that walk away from wrestling not because of the companies, but because of the fans.
Oh yeah.
And they walk
It's
away
like that.
because the fans take these dirt sheet rumors, claim them as facts, and bleed it into the product. It makes the product unenjoyable to watch, and people just walk away. I literally had a conversation the other day with a friend of mine, guy I wrestled with back when I was. He's been wrestling for well over 30 years now. He's completely quit indie wrestling because of this shit. Like, it's so toxic. The locker room's still great, but the second you step out of the locker room, whether it's before a show, during the show, or after the show, it is so incredibly toxic. He's like, it wasn't worth my mental health. And he has since walked away and doesn't watch the product anymore. He doesn't watch anything on TV. He's completely done with wrestling because of the toxicity of the dirt sheets, the toxicity of the fans. And that is just sad. It's just sad.
That, and it's stuff like that that makes me, when I do my content on TikTok, I, for the most part, I stray away from more modern stuff. And when I do, I approach it a certain way. I'll dabble in it and then I'll quickly back out. I don't do too much jibber jabbing with it because folks get real ugly real quick, and I don't have the patience for it.
No, I don't either.
I don't feel like adding that many people to the block list. Like I'm just gonna roll out.
Well, as we wrap up the show, I want to thank Rootless Coffee. Once again, go to rootlesscoffee.com. Use the code PANDA Coffee, PANDACOFFE, for 15% off all non branded coffees and all merchandise. Thank them for being a sponsor of the Panda Wrestling Company. Thankfully, we were able to fix the issue, and we are back on the Panda Wrestling Company. Hopefully, Outside the Brand will follow us here on the PWC. If not, you can go over to their page and watch them on Outside the Brand. Regardless, so we'll see how that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it was weird for a lot of time, but thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. We love you guys. And next week, who knows what's in store? It's just been Surprise Fest 99 around here. It's just been ridiculous. Been a lot of fun. Wrestling has got a whole new rejuvenation. Hopefully we can use this rejuvenation to weed out the toxicity and become a more parent and loving community, because that's all it should be. So, once again, we love you all. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and we will see you guys next week.